Welcome to Don't Chuck It Up. I'm Chuck, a college counselor helping parents and educators navigate the college search and application process with clarity and confidence. And today we're talking with one of my former students. Mason Campbell is a sophomore in college, and I wanted to have him come on the show to talk about what life is like as a sophomore in college. Mason, welcome to the Don't Chuck It Up show.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm Mason. I'm originally from Kimberly, Wisconsin. I'm a sophomore at Coe College. I was the starting center this year, and I'm a bio pre-med major.
Awesome intro. I didn't even have to prompt you to do that. I appreciate that. So, Mason, as you said, you're a sophomore at Coe College. Coe College is a small-ish liberal arts college located in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. And you said, what was your major again, did you say?
Bio pre-med.
You're doing bio on the pre-med track. You also said that you might accidentally come up with a history minor.
Yeah, I'm one class away, so it'll be good.
Oh, that's great. We can talk about that. And it sounds like you're also going to be heading off on doing a little study abroad this year as well. So that'll be exciting. But I want to first go back to high school. So let's rewind this whole thing almost 4 years ago when I first met you. What were you like in high school? What was high school like for you?
High school was a time. You met me sophomore year, so I would have been one of those kids that never studied for tests, but I took all the hard classes and somehow succeeded. But yeah, I spent most of my time lifting, playing on the football team, all the extra summer workouts, all that stuff, hanging with friends, doing all the normal things, but not really excelling in necessarily one area.
That's okay. And what were you thinking of for college back in the day? So you were the eldest of your siblings, so you're the first out the door. What was in your mind about college back when you were in high school?
I definitely did not see myself ending up in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Originally the plan was to go to either coast. I really was looking at schools in Florida, a couple of schools in California. I wanted to be somewhere warm because I was tired of the winters, but
When
yeah, I
you
was
were,
looking at a lot of
I was going to say, you were really dedicated to football in high school. Were you thinking that you wanted to play football in college back then?
I thought it was always would be cool to do it. I didn't know necessarily because I didn't start to my senior year because Kimberly kind of they only play the start or the seniors, but I didn't think it was really necessarily in there for me. But after going through the recruiting process a little bit and your help with you really helped me narrow down, find two things, the football and the academic side, and just meshing them together. So
Well, yeah,
I
I was.
didn't
Go ahead.
if you asked me at sophomore year if I was playing football in college, I probably would have told you no.
I don't think you were leaning towards football earlier in high school. Now, for people who are not aware, you went to a high school that has a mega football program. And so, as you mentioned, really only the seniors are the ones who really get to see a whole lot of field time. So you didn't really have a ton of on-field experience as a varsity player until you got to be a senior. Isn't that right?
Yeah, I didn't really see the field unless it was garbage time, blowouts against Oshkosh North and all those fun little schools. But yeah, I didn't see much. I wasn't on the field every Friday night until senior year.
Well, and your high school has a history of cranking out some pretty awesome players who do go on to play D1. So you probably were like, oh my gosh, that's a lot to live up to and a lot to have to try and strive for.
Yeah, for sure. We got for my class, there's one, and then the grade below me that are now freshmen, there's two, I think. So one's at Yale and one's at St. Thomas.
Yeah, I
So,
mean,
but
so college search. I was trying to remember what were you thinking of majoring in back then? I don't think it was wholeheartedly biology pre-med. What were you thinking back in high school?
I actually do think it was bio pre-med. Ever since I was a little kid, I always was interested in the biology field, but I also never had the self-confidence necessarily to say, oh, I can go and do this and be a doctor or excel in like that degree. But I also was looking at a lot of like the hospitality and tourism kind of
That's right.
areas because I also like just really love Disney. You can ask Chuck about my college, my senior, or what was it, my college essay. But yeah, definitely was leaning towards the bio area. But I also could have saw myself being, oh, just working at Disney as a
And that's what
popcorn seller.
Yep, and that's what led us to looking at colleges in Florida and California, so you could be within an arm's reach of the mouse. And you definitely applied to some places in those areas, and you even got admitted to some places in those areas. But something kind of happened during senior year of high school. So what happened that made you shift and decide to give up the sun and the mouse and decide to go to a small school in Iowa?
I would say definitely. Well, my dad works at a small art or liberal arts school in Appleton, Lawrence, and so I get the tuition exchange, and it was just a bunch of the schools that I was recruiting from, like Lake Forest, Coe, Monmouth, I think was one of them, Ripon,
Mhm.
all those kind of smaller, like Midwest liberal arts schools. I get really good tuition exchange, and they also have a very good football program, like Co here. Made it to the playoffs the last 2 years, won the game this year. I would say after my senior year season, I never realized how much I'm gonna miss playing this game, and I was like, I want to play 4 more years if I can. And I was already applied to Co before I even thought of playing football here, and the coach reached out to me. I knew put my name out, and he asked if I wanted to go on a visit. And I said sure. And bippity boppity boo, it was the middle of the big snowstorm in 2023 in
Yep.
January. My dad and I drove down 7 hours. It normally takes 4, and had a visit and committed about 2 weeks later.
Well, I think that you bring up a really interesting point is that you finished your senior year of football in high school. You know, we had put on your application for colleges all of your football involvement in what you've been doing. And what lo and behold happened is that a coach found out that you had been a football player at a really great high school football program, and they reached out to you. Now, let's be real, Co is a D3 football program. So this is not a D1 ask. This is
Yeah,
a D3 ask. But the fact that, you weren't planning on playing football, then you finish your senior year, and then all of a sudden you're like, well, maybe I do. And then the coach reached out to you, and then, as you said, bibbity bobbity boo, all of a sudden you're on a trip in a snowstorm to a college in Iowa that you had never visited before to go check out the football program.
yeah, it's crazy.
What made you all of a sudden go, okay, yeah, I do want to play, like, go all in with saying, yep, I'm going to play college football? Like, was it the visit? Was it the coach? Like, what happened?
So I also I went on a visit a week after at Lake Forest because it was like, oh, that's another one of the schools I was looking at.
Yep.
And there I just felt it was too posh. It felt very like snobby and rich. That was one of the things. And the coaches almost had that kind of aspect to like they didn't really know who you were. They just kind of wanted you to be here. They didn't give you a reason why. Here it was more like you're either gonna come here or you're not. You're gonna come here for the people and stay for the people. And the coach like sat down with me and my dad and talked for like an hour and a half and just like about random things, nowhere near related to football. And the relationships with the coaches was definitely something like that. Sorry, a big part of that. And I would say I thought to myself, I was talking with my dad a lot. I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna like, hey, what if like freshman year I hate it and I don't want to do it. I thought Co would also be a place that I would be okay not being a student athlete at as well. And he's also like, you have the option to transfer. Like if it's not the place for you, you
Yep.
can jump ship and find somewhere else, like some of the other schools that you applied to that you got into. But I said I want to give it one shot. If I love it, I'm gonna stay. If I don't love it, you can always move on.
I think those are excellent points. You were assessing Co on two levels. One was it a good football fit for you, but also was it just a good overall academic social fit? Co's located in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, which is a metro of about 300,000 people. So you weren't in the middle of a cornfield. There's a thought that, all these Iowa colleges are in the middle of a cornfield, and Co is not. Co is actually in the second largest city in the state of Iowa. So you're actually in a decent sized area. Um, but I was really appreciative of you thinking about, okay, I like this college for a college, but I also like it because I have the ability to play football. And you're right. You got admitted to a wide variety of colleges. So if it didn't work out and you were like, nope, get me to Florida, there was an option if you wanted to do that.
Yeah. Yes. I was actually, I don't think it was going to be Florida. It would have been University of San Diego. I think that was my
Oh, that's
second.
right.
If I,
Yes.
if, if I didn't if I didn't play football, I think that's probably where I would have been.
That,
Would
yeah.
have been a surfer.
Now that you said that, that was kind of your next in line was University of San Diego because, that's a whole
Yeah.
different vibe. It's not in the backyard of Disney, but it's close enough that, it's way closer than Wisconsin to Disney. So you'd be able to get to Disneyland from San Diego. So
Yeah.
talk to me about what was the start of college life like? So as a football player, what I don't think most people understand is you had to arrive early. Like you're one of the first people that land on the campus is the football team.
Yeah. It was freshman year. So I think classes started, I want to say, second to last or last week of August. So like it's either like the 22nd or like 22nd to the 30th, somewhere around that range. And we moved in, I think it was August 10th, I want to say. So yeah, we were there. We are the only people on campus. I think it was us and the volleyball team.
Yeah.
So yeah, starting the football season early. But it was a nice experience because you kind of get acclimated to the campus. It's not a very large campus, but
Mhm.
so I was able to figure out like, oh, this is where my classes are going to be. This is where the calf is. This is where all those little tiny things that you actually need to know where they are, and you don't feel as rushed moving in. But yeah, my first 2 weeks of college were spent waking up at 4:30 a.m. to go watch film for 2 hours and then start lifting and football practice, and then get done around 1 and then nap the rest of the day away and then go back to bed to repeat
Yep.
it for the last 2 weeks.
Relaxing, and you're taking a nap at 1 and relaxing because that was the hottest time of the day, and they didn't want you outside in the heat of the end of summer here in, the Midwest. I think it's really awesome that you got to experience doing football first. You went to a decently big size public high school, but being on a college campus is a whole different feel. So it does take time to kind of find everything and find your way to the local Target and where you want to get your snacks in town and all that good stuff. So what was it like diving into classes, and how did you balance classes and playing football as a freshman?
So yeah, classes were definitely, it's a lot different than high school. And in some ways, I think it's almost easier because you don't have class every day. So like my classes, like my main classes besides my labs, I meet Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and they're each 50-minute increments. So I'm only in class for the most 3.5 hours a day. So you do have a bunch of natural blocks to study, which was very helpful. And then football got done. It was probably between like 4 and 6:30 is probably at the end of the day when it was done. So I had a decent amount of time. And Coe makes you as a freshman, you have two mandatory study tables you have to go to as a freshman. So that helps you. Keeps you accountable for doing some of your homework, not all of it, but some of it. Um, but yeah, I think the main thing was just finding I lied to you apparently. One person. Um, but what was this? The studying was what I found helpful was we have SIs. That's one of the biggest thing I would recommend to college students is going to like the supplementary instructions or the tutoring or like group discussions because most of your classes are just going to be lectures. So you don't actually get hands on working the problems or just they explain it in different ways that might click with you better than the way the professor teaches it in the lecture. And you're not slumped writing 50 minutes of notes that probably should have been written in an hour 30. So those definitely helped me the most the freshman year. I would say those SI sessions and the group study sessions.
Yeah, SI Supplemental Instruction is a program that I really like. Usually colleges the size of Coe don't have supplemental instruction because it is smaller, but supplemental instruction is often really popular with classes that are used by a lot of first year students. So they're like, oh, everyone's taking biology 101. Okay, we're going to have supplemental instruction to make sure that you're ready for all the information and really catching up. Supplemental instruction is really popular at like a big school like the University of Iowa or Iowa State. where, you know, you have hundreds of kids in a class, and that allows it to be in a smaller section with your supplemental instruction person, whoever's leading that. For supplemental instruction, was that led by the professor or was it led by an upperclassman?
It would be a previous student that excelled in the class and then was handpicked by the professor. And then they would sit in on most of the lectures if they had time and retake the notes and relearn what you are learning, and then create different, like in biology, they would do a lot of Paget work, which was good.
Mhm.
Like practice exams, practice questions. So that's what they did.
Yeah. So how did your first semester in college end up? Like, how did it go?
It went pretty good. Definitely was a little bit of a learning curve. I had a bio lab and we had a practical and or practicum, and that was a different way of studying that I've never had to study for. So I definitely did better, a lot better than most people do their freshman first semester, but I definitely wish I could have changed some things, studied a little bit more here and there, maybe stayed not as late up, not stay as late. Messed up twice. Not something. Not stay as up as late at night and maybe quit the video games at 9 instead of 10.
I have been interviewing several former students, and one you just reiterated what I think everyone else has said. It was like, all right, put the video games away. Or one of my students sent the video game system home at Thanksgiving. Was like, nope, too much of a distraction. Need to get this out of here. So I think that's good. And yeah, maybe doing the homework a little bit earlier and getting it done a little bit earlier is always helpful. How'd your first season of football go?
It went good. As a freshman, I definitely saw the field a lot more than I thought I was gonna. So I was the second string right guard behind an all conference guard.
Oh,
But as a team, yeah, as a team, we went 9-2. We made to the first round of playoffs, lost to Bethel, who ended up making, I think, the semifinals. And they had Matt Jung, who then transferred to the University of Wisconsin. So that was kind of cool. And I played him in high school.
nice.
Yeah, it was good. It was really fun. It was a lot of fifth years, which was interesting because it was like these grown ass men. Pardon my French, but these old people and they have these balding heads. But it gives you a perspective from like the difference between an 18-year-old and a 23-year-old. It's a completely different world that they're living in. That was interesting. It was also interesting. They took you like almost under your wing, like
Hmm.
you were. It's crazy. Like it's a really different experience. It's kind of interesting. But compared to like high school, you have an 18 and a 15-year-old kind of feels almost closer in like maturity. You're like same kind of like wavelength in late in life. You're not. There's more differences in college athletes than there is in high school athletes.
100%. And I was laughing because I was one of those fifth years back in the day. So I spent a fifth year in college, and yeah, the difference between a 22-year-old and an 18-year-old seems like night and day difference. But yeah, dude, they're not all old and balding. Come on, I still have all of my hair, even though I'm wearing a hat today. But yeah, dude, I understand what you're saying though. So how did the rest of your first year end up? Did you do anything else once football was over? Like, how did you fill your time?
Oh, so it pretty much all my time was filled with football because once your season ends and then you get back from Christmas break, you go right into lifting, off season lifting. So every single day, Monday through Friday, wake up at 5:30, lift for 2 hours, then go to class. And then you have your afternoons free, but then you have to study for your classes.
Hmm.
So I found it easier in season to study than I did outside of season because I felt like I had to, like if I don't get the studying done, I'm not gonna get it done. But now that I
Yeah.
have this more free time, I feel like I procrastinate a little bit more. But this semester I'm definitely doing a lot better than I was my freshman year. But yeah, it went good. All my classes were really fun, really interesting. We did what we did in my biology cell molec lab. We did like a hissing cockroach lab, which was very weird, but yet insightful. And it was funny, this girl that dropped the beaker, it held the little cockroach, it fell and screamed, and then she like actually fainted because she was so scared of the bug. And it
Oh,
was hilarious. She was okay. She was okay, but it was hilarious.
I mean, that's something you'll never forget. probably for the rest of your life. So yeah. Um, it's really interesting you said that your study habits and academics were actually more manageable when you were in football, because the research has actually shown that. So the research has shown that college athletes tend to do better academically while they are in season because of the regimented schedule that you have versus out of season. As you said, you've got this free time, which is not really free time, but I mean, it's harder to manage because it's unscripted time. And you're like, okay,
Mhm.
how do I do all this stuff? So it's really interesting that you had that same thing because that's exactly what the research shows is what you said experience. So did you have to do anything for football over the summer between your first year and your second year?
Yeah, so our lifting coach, they would send you out a packet and you have to complete the lifts. It's pretty much the same thing that you did all off season. So it's pretty much a lift every single day and then mixed with some sprints, but you can kind of ignore those if you're an O lineman, which is great.
Huh.
Um, but then yeah, but also college is different. At least in Wisconsin, you don't have spring football, but in college you have to play football for a month in March, which
Mhm.
is completely different because my body was not used to that. But it was interesting. That was interesting
Yeah,
playing in
that
the cold.
that is something that most college guys don't realize is that in college there is a spring ball season that happens in March, and it's mainly a way to keep you in shape and functioning so that you're not completely out of whack by the time you come back in the fall that way. I'd love to hear more about, is there anything that you were doing as a first year for pre-med stuff, or is there anything else that you have joined? Any other clubs or organizations that you're involved in?
Oh, I'm involved in the biology club, so we have a couple of meetings once a month and just it's pretty much just a study group, but it's the biology club. And then last summer I did the Miracle League through the Goodwill
Oh yeah.
Foundation. So I did that because I need something to spend some time with because I had a lot of time on my plate. And I also worked part-time at Club Car Wash over the summer. And then now this summer, I'm going to get my CNA, work on that, and then job shadow a bunch of my knee surgery, my knee surgeon, my mom, and a couple of her friends, my shadow, and get some of those hours in. And then next summer, I'll get all the
Now,
practical hours in.
we need to help people understand, why are you shadowing your mom? What does your mother do?
My mom's a pediatrician, so it's a free job shadow.
Well, you probably have to do some chores around the house in exchange for it, but yeah, it's something that way. Um, I think one thing that I also want to talk about is, so Co is on a different type of academic schedule than what you're used to in high school. So high school, you had a standard kind of semester-ish schedule. Co is what's called the 441 or the May term schedule. So
Mhm.
tell me about, what was your, in freshman year, so May comes around, what was your freshman May term like?
Oh, so I didn't take a midterm, and
Oh,
you don't have to take a midterm. I don't think you might have to take one through your 4 years, or you have to like, have a certain amount of credits. But I didn't take one, so right after finals were done, I was out of there. So I got home around it was like first week in May. It might have been May 1st. I was the first one home from all my friends, so that was fun. That was good. But this year I'm going to be doing, they do broad May terms. So, and your first one's free if you go to Co. So, plug. Um, so I'm going to be going to Germany, Luxembourg, France, and I think Belgium. So I'll be doing a part of my history minor. It's following a company from Co in World War II. That at the end of the year is just a bunch of, or the end of the war, it's a bunch of Co, like part of the Army National Guard for Iowa, but it was just a bunch of Co people, and they came in through Germany and then freed a bunch of the enslaved Jews at these camps, and then came down. So we're pretty much recreating that, and then going to all like the big sites like Normandy Beach and all those
mhm.
things.
You will probably be, I did a similar tour when it was the summer between my high school and my college. So
Mhm.
you're going to see some of the military sites that I got to see, and it's pretty freaking amazing. And I think for you, having that history curiosity that you've had, I think you're gonna be really interested in that. But what a great way to spend the May term. So you basically are doing essentially one class, but it is a travel class. Do you know how many students are going to be on your May trip?
I do. I think it's either 13 or 11. I think it's 11 students and then 2 professors, so 13 total.
Nice.
So it's gonna be a close knit group.
So t- I think this is another thing that makes Coe a little bit different than a lot of colleges is it is a close knit college. So what has it been like really getting to know your professors and your classmates? Because your classes are pretty small at Coe.
Yeah, my biggest class I had was my freshman bio, which was I want to say 35 people, I want to say 35 students. It's been great. Like the history professor I've done a maid term is whenever I see her, or if I see her like crossing across campus, she yells my name and tells me to go come over and talk to her. We've gone to lunch together. It's great. You build these little relationships. They're almost like parent figures, but like at
Yeah.
college. They will text you, they'll make sure you're doing all right. Like if you miss class, they will email you to make sure you're all right, even if you don't tell them or if you do tell them. But
Mhm.
it's great. You actually feel like your teachers care about you because I feel like if I went to like one of these bigger schools, I was a lecturer of 600. You are just a number to me or to them. I am Mason Campbell, sophomore. Like they want to have that interaction. They want you to go visit them in the office hours. They want you to do all these things. They want to have a relationship with you.
Well, right, and this year for football, you were now a starter, right? So you were
Yeah,
as a sophomore, you're playing starter. I bet that some of those faculty came to your football games.
yeah. Most of them do. They're out at the tailgates pre-gaming them, get a little rowdy. It's a great time. It's great. They always come to support all the games and every sport. Like I know a bunch of people on the basketball team, the wrestling team. You just get to know these people that you wouldn't get to know at other schools.
Well, and that's another thing that I think Co is really unusual is that about a third of the college are athletes, whether that's the NCAA Division III teams or the co-ed clubs teams. What?
It's more than a third. It's more than a third.
How
I
many is
think
it?
it's like over half. It's over a half. That's what they said, at least according to Coe College. But it's over a half of the kids. Well, it depends on what you qualify as a sport, because technically, like bowling is a sport,
Right. So
esports is a sport. They're technically considered student athletes.
right. I
So
I was quoting the website, and the website talks about that about a third of students are involved in varsity athletics. So
there you go.
when you add on, right, there are co-ed club sports. Co is really known for having a lot of athletic opportunities, shall we say? Um, how is that like as a vibe as being at a college that is predominantly involved in athletics or sports or something similar?
I would say like definitely from being a small school, like at least in the football side, we get a lot of people that show up. A lot of students show up. It kind of feels like coming from Kimberly, like it was packed. It was like 3,000 people going to a little tiny town in Wisconsin to a football game. It felt like that. Like the stands are packed. You can hear the fans. It's great. And then like we pay the respects to them. We like go to the basketball games. That's a lot of fun. Baseball games are a lot of fun. We have a great baseball team. Wrestling, we're really good. I
Yep.
won wrestling, but we're really good at wrestling. So those are fun. You just have all these other athletes that come support you guys or each other. It's a lot of fun.
Co is known as a wrestling college. You are correct. Um, and are there any football players that are playing on any of the other sports? I know sometimes there's a crossover between football and baseball.
Yeah, I got a couple. I think there were two, but he quit football. But there's at least one that does baseball. There's a couple that do track. It's a lot of doing sports. They're very open and welcome to that too.
So, a couple more questions, and then I'll let you share some advice from your vast knowledge now as a brilliant sophomore. What was the thing that you were most surprised by being at Co, knowing what you know now? Like, what were you most surprised by when you first arrived?
Just how close everyone is, like how well you get to know people. Like my first day, you walk around campus and you just see like a bunch of random people that you don't know. But now I know, like if I look at a crowd, if I walk between like, I guess you would say passing time, like
Yeah.
9:50 to 10, you see at least 10 people you know, and you just can say hi to them. I thought that's just a really cool thing. Like you definitely stay for the people here. We might not have the greatest, nicest dorms or anything, but it's just such a close knit community. It feels very homey whenever you go here. That's was definitely one of the more surprising things.
One and I was had a feeling you might say that. So I'm kind of wondering is some of my students when I say, "Hey, let's look at a college that's roughly about the size of Coe," and you've got about 1,500 students total at
Mhm.
Coe, a lot of students go, "That's smaller than my high school," which for you it was. Like your Coe is smaller than what your high school was, or pretty
It's
close.
about the same. It's pretty close. I think it's a little bit bigger, but it's very similar.
So talk to me about a lot of students worry about like, okay, in high school, you knew quite a few students in high school because you'd gone to school with them since you were little kids. What is it like at Code? Do you feel like you know too many students? Like, like, okay, everyone knows who you are and you're up in everyone's business? Or do you still feel like, okay, I have some people that I know, but there's still people that I have no clue as to who the heck they are?
I would definitely say there's some people like you recognize their faces, but you don't like interact with them.
Fair.
But I feel like a lot of people know, like if you're an athlete, they know of you. Like they've seen you around, like you're, oh, like I'm the tall, big guy walking around campus. Or my friend who's a 6'4", big, large, light-skinned man,
Hmm.
Cam. But they know of you, but everyone, you see these familiar faces, which is just great. Like in the calf, when you go around lunchtime, you see a bunch of people and everyone's very welcoming. Everyone's always smiling. But you also don't feel like, oh, I know every single little detail of every single person, and there's no mystery to people.
Well, I'm super excited for you. The fact that you found a college that fits you academically with a wide variety of stuff. You're able to do study abroad. You're now playing varsity, starter football as a sophomore. You found a college that's in a city that works well for you that way. Even though you had to give up the mouse, like you didn't get to do Disney stuff. But it seems like everything else really worked out for you. I'm really super excited for you.
Yeah, it's been good. It's been good. That's why you have your Ben Campbell for you. He takes you to the Mouse and Bears when your mom wants to go to see the Louvre.
Thankfully, you have a family that's addicted to Disney, so I'm sure you'll find a way to get some Disney time
Oh,
when you
oh,
need
for
it.
sure,
Well, awesome. Well,
for sure.
Mason, now's the time for do a little soapbox. So, if you
Hmm.
had advice for current high school students, or current parents with high school students, or current guys who are playing football or a high school sport, I don't care what you want to talk about, but this is your time. Um, I'm going to give a shout out to your college here. All right. So, Mason, what advice would you give to whoever you want to address it to? I'll leave it open ended.
Uh, I'll start with the parents because that's probably what you wouldn't expect. But I would say don't overlook the smaller colleges. Like I would say, especially coming from Wisconsin, you have all these UW schools, like they get so pressed into you. And those colleges are probably great. I didn't look at any of them, but I would say look at some of the private schools. You look at the sticker price and like, oh, it's X, Y, and Z, but they're very good on giving you scholarship. So like my college is less than I would have paid at any UW school because of my scholarships alone, let alone the tuition exchange. But I would say look into the smaller schools and just be open to touring a bunch of colleges. I would say that helped a lot. Don't just like look at them like, oh, it looks pretty. And then you go there and it sucks and you hate the people. I would say touring is very important. And then just researching it. That was definitely very helpful. Or finding people that go there. Like I would find people like the football players. I would text them like what's it actually like? Because then the visits, they're like, they butter it up. I'd say that just interacting with people on campus. I think one of the things that I messed up was going to visit these schools when people were not in session because you get a completely different vibe in Florida when I toured the schools there. But it's a completely different vibe when students are on campus. And then for the students, once you get into college, have fun, but be smart about it. Get your assignments done. You will thank yourself later. And I would say be open to failing. Like try your hardest, ask those questions. You're not going to be stupid because there'll be someone else in the back of the class that's wishing they asked that same question. And it's okay to get a bad grade once in a while because it's learning. The only way you learn is through failure. So be okay with that and don't put too much pressure on yourself, just the right enough so you don't break, but you can crack and mend yourself up. And then for football players, I would say reach out to coaches and just put your name out there. It doesn't matter If you think you're too small, too big, just put your name out there. That's what I would say. Just be yourself. That's what I would say.
That's awesome advice, Mason. Like, I've been really fascinated as I've been meeting with students and having them join me on this podcast, how many students have brought up that it's okay to fail and it's okay to struggle, and it's okay. Like, looking back at high school, they're like, oh man, should I have to get all the A's and I have to get all the big grades? And then you get to college, you're like, it's fine. You can have a bump in the road. It's okay. Life goes on. It's all right. So I really appreciate you giving honest advice for parents, for students, and for football players, because I think more guys
Yeah.
need to consider looking at football programs that, like you, may never heard of. And,
Mhm.
you might have a chance of
Yeah.
being a starter varsity football player as a sophomore.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Mason, thanks so much for being here. I really appreciate you taking the time to chat with me.
Of course. Thanks for inviting me.
Well, everyone, thanks for listening to Don't Chuck It Up. Subscribe for more college admissions guidance and hearing about some of my other past students. I'll be back next week. Until then, remember, don't chuck it up.
Don't chuck